Hey Latchkey kids, happy first day of winter. Let's talk about Jack Frost. This is a Christmas horror movie that I watch every year ever since it came out on video back in 1997. I've always watched and rewatched this movie. It never ceases to be entertaining for me. Movie jumps right in. We meet Jack, who is a convicted murderer who's being transported from one prison to another prison for execution during a snowstorm. There is an accident that makes Jack come into contact with a toxic chemical that melts him first and then makes his cells bond molecularly with this toxin and also with snow, and that's how we get our killer snowman. The copy that I watched looked great, by the way. I watched this on Amazon streaming video and it has been digitally remastered. It is crystal clear. This is always a little bit jarring to me when I watch older movies and they've been restored to such a point that they're in, I'm pretty sure it's HD. I did not notice whether it was listed as HD, but it looked HD to me, and it's still a little bit jarring when I see movies that are older look so new. I'm getting used to it and I'm enjoying it. Speaking of being clear, the first gore scene in which Jack melts is beautiful. It is better than I remembered it, but that's probably because I was used to watching this on VHS and then on just a VHS ripped DVD, and now to see it in all its glory, I loved it. From there we get some backstory about the sheriff that originally captured Jack, the small town that he comes from, and we get to meet some of the townsfolk. The place is called Snowminton, and we actually get a pretty decent feel for its residents. And I really like when a movie takes the time to do that. I hate when a movie just says, this is Sally, see Sally die. Let us get to know the people just a little bit before you kill them off. That's all I ask. By the way, one of the townspeople is played by a young Shannon Elizabeth, who I used to confuse with Megan Fox. I have no idea why. I do that with a lot of actors. I did that with Melanie Griffith and Meg Ryan. I always confuse the two of them. Don't know why. They look nothing alike other than being kind of like that America's Sweetheart short blonde hair thing that they both have going. Who else? Peter Weller and James Woods. I used to always confuse them. And I used to think that the host of Video Soul, Donnie Simpson, was also the lead singer of Kool and the Gang, because they do look just alike. When I was a little kid, I thought that was the same man. Anyways, the effects were great. Like I said, the Jack melting sequence was really well executed. The corpse of Old Man Harker was also very well done, especially for this to be such a low budget movie. A lot of Jack's one-liners were goofy and corny, but I still like them for some reason. I can't put my finger on why. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but I enjoyed his character, the character of Jack. I also liked the resolution of how the little boy figured out, well, actually it was by accident. His father kind of put him onto it, but either way, the way they got rid of Jack was very creative, and how they left it open for a sequel, which I believe there is a Jack Frost 2. I feel like I saw it and had something to do with Hawaii, not 100% sure. For some reason, I guess it just did not resonate enough for me to keep it in my memory. That being said, if you have not seen the horror movie Jack Frost and you are a B horror movie fan, I definitely recommend it, especially if you like something like The Toxic Avenger. If you like Hatchet, I would definitely suggest this as well. And I'll be right back in a moment to talk to you about the Gingerdead man. It's fairly obvious why I paired these two movies together. They're both about homicidal maniacs who come back to life in the form of other creatures that are both winter or holiday themed. I caught this one also on Amazon, although unfortunately it has not been restored as clearly as Jack Frost was. And it's kind of odd because this movie came out in 2006, so you wouldn't think that it would have deteriorated so drastically, but it actually looks kind of bad. It looks really grainy. I mean, the copy that's on Amazon Prime, it looks very grainy and really, really deteriorated. But the saving grace is that it is hosted by Elvira, which I was really surprised about because there was like hardly any promotion. I literally follow Elvira on Twitter, and I did not happen to see any promotion for this series. It's possible that maybe this series is from last year or the year before last, and that I'm just now finding it, so that could be the reason. But definitely check it out if you like Elvira. Side note, did you know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you know, that Elvira is kind of paying homage to the famous vampire, which most of us know from Plan 9 from Outer Space. I only just recently found out that before she was in Plan 9 from Outer Space, there was a TV show that she had, and it was called The Vampire Show. I did not know about this show at all. I found a clip from the opening and I love it. I'm gonna have to go back and watch all of these because I love just how the show opened. So I'm gonna have to find them somewhere and watch The Vampire Show. Oh, I probably should have told you to turn down your headphones before playing that clip, huh? But anyways, wasn't that cool? Back to the Gingerdead man. Like I was saying, much like Jack from Jack Frost, our Gingerdead man is a homicidal maniac. Except in this, instead of a snowman, he comes back as a homicidal gingerbread cookie. And that's generally all the backstory you need. My one gripe with this movie, or I should say my biggest gripe with this movie, is that the soundtrack is doing too much. It's too loud over a lot of the dialogue, and it's too hokey, and I don't even want to call it sitcom-y. I wouldn't even say it's as good as a sitcom soundtrack. It's just real cornball, cheesy, and overly done. And it takes away from the movie, in my opinion. The other criticism I have is that this is shot very much like a horror anthology TV show. And I'm not talking like Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt, or Amazing Stories. I'm talking about Friday the 13th, the series, Freddy's Nightmares. I can't remember whether Monsters was shot well or not. I feel like it's in between. It's not great, but it's not as bad as how Friday the 13th, the series, or, well, actually the worst was Freddy's Nightmares. That was shot horribly. The lighting and everything. Trust me, it looked bad. Even when I was a kid when it was on, and as a kid, I'm like, this looks bad. As far as the story goes, this is a bad movie, but not in a good way like Jack Frost was a bad movie. Like Jack Frost is so bad that it is good. This is just kind of so bad. It's really hard for me to describe the right kind of bad. One of these days I'm gonna collect my thoughts and do a video about what makes a good B movie versus just this. This movie's one saving grace was Gary Busey as the Gingerdead man. His lines were funny. He probably ad-libbed most of the stuff anyways, but if it wasn't for Gary Busey, this movie would be unwatchable. I also like how the Butcher Baker tried to end the Gingerdead man, because anyone watching it, you would have that thought, well, why don't you do this one thing? And that's exactly what he did. The one-liner that he spouted just before he did it was janky, and they should have just ended the movie right then and there. Like right after the Butcher Baker sort of took care of the Gingerdead man, they should have ended the movie right there. But no, they had to add one more terrible scene. Then even the end credits feel like a generic 90s sitcom, complete with a generic 90s rock song. So, to recap, crappy music, mostly crappy dialogue, kills were unentertaining, the effects were uninspired, but Gary Busey was entertaining. Gary Busey's always entertaining. I don't know, there was a reality show that Gary Busey was on, and he kept on doing these sayings. Like he would take an acronym and then say, oh, this word means such and such and such and such. If I find a clip of him on that show, I'm going to post it right here so you know what I'm talking about.
These are called Buseyisms because I take these from my own heart, my own spirit, my own soul, and make this interpretation so you can hear it and live by it. The word now, N-O-W, no other way. Time out. To ensure measured energy on using time. The word team, T-E-A-M. Together, everyone achieves more.
So he's just an entertaining guy, period. Even when he's not acting, he's just an entertaining person. Anyways, have you seen Jack Frost or the Gingerdead Man? What do you think of movies such as these? I typically enjoy B movies. I definitely like Jack Frost way better than the Gingerdead Man. Although I probably will end up eventually doing reviews of the sequels. I will watch Jack Frost 2, and I'm definitely going to watch Gingerdead Man 2, The Passion of the Crust, just because it's called The Passion of the Crust. And there's also a third one that has something to do with a roller skating rink or a discotheque. Can't remember. I'll figure it out. I'm probably going to revisit these. But like I always say, just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it. And just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. Have you seen either of these movies? Would you watch either of these movies? They're both free on Amazon, by the way. I forgot to mention the free part, because that definitely makes a difference between whether you paid to see something and whether you watched it for free. And I feel like you get your money's worth with these. Let me know in the comments below. Bye.